All right.
Yo,
Oh,
yo.
There
Twitch
we go.
TV's blocked.
What?
Oh, it's blocked. Oh, it's blocked because of you're on
My
your work
work
computer.
computer.
Ah,
Eh,
bummer.
What?
whatever.
I
They blocked
know.
Twitch?
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Untitled Florida Men Project.
Bum, bum,
Thank you so much.
bum.
I know for all of our viewers who are checking us out here on our Twitch stream. Thank you so much. I'm Roger Roper, and alongside me are my two co-hosts, Benny Buffett and Mr. C.
What, what's going on,
Yo,
family?
What's
yo,
going
yo.
on, Benny? Where are you right now? You look like you're not in Jacksonville.
I am not in Jacksonville anymore, Toto.
Where are
I'm
you?
actually in Palm Beach. If you guys want to see my backyard, it's
Yeah,
pretty
dude, it
tight.
looks sick.
Got see the boats in the back.
Wow, very Florida.
Oh man, this is as Florida as it gets. See that?
Dude, that's sick.
So right on the canal, pretty sweet. So I'm really enjoying the vibe over here.
So I was reading an article because you're on work from home orders now till what like till the end of Q4, right? Or almost to Q4.
Possibly to the end of the year, possibly till next year. That's what things are happening right now. It's crazy. Definitely not earlier than Q4, but possibly slash probably next year.
I,
Interesting times.
I was reading an article that like said we may never go back to offices. Like the office work
Ooh.
life is dead.
Yeah, I was talking to my brother about
Mm.
that, and his company's doing the same thing, Benny, where they're like, just take off the rest of the year. You're not coming back. And same with Lev. And I was talking to my brother, and he was like, yeah, I mean, this is like a signifier for a lot of companies that why would we waste money on office space when we can clearly run this company well with people working from home. And obviously companies like Twitter and somebody else, I think Facebook, was like, you can work at home for the rest of your life if you want. You don't ever have to come back. So
You
Um,
know what's crazy is because they evolutionized like this shared space office environment, like Google and stuff. Like they've invested so much money into that no cubicle type of office style,
right.
right,
and now they're just like saying, yeah, you can just work from home, like
yeah. Well,
crazy. Like is it going to be less because like they said it helps in like make you more like innovative to do things.
I was wondering if it's going to affect like those co-working spaces that a lot of people are like.
Oh
I work
Oh,
in a
yeah.
co-working space, and I'm
Right.
like,
like we
are these going
were.
to blow up? Like, are like places like WeWork and novel co-working going to blow up? Like, are we be investing in these companies?
I was thinking about that too. I was
Well,
just like, oh shit. Well,
well,
definitely not investing in it.
yeah, WeWork was
Yeah.
100% like a pyramid
Well,
scheme.
yeah,
Yeah, that was
yeah. WeWork was fucked,
it
but
was really bad, but the ripple effects I think are going to be positive. Number one, it's going to allow people to live wherever they want. And so
Huge.
instead of cities like Seattle or San Francisco or LA, even Phoenix right now, New York City, if I can't afford to live there, like I can then move, I can still keep my job and move to a place where maybe the schools are a little bit better or the real
Yeah.
estate is cheaper. And
Mm-hmm.
so like you're going to like they've already started to see rent start to drop in places like San Francisco. But I think that's going to be a positive thing. If I can work wherever I want to live, that's amazing,
I would
yeah,
love that's my dream. That's
right?
my dream, dude. Like it's my absolute dream to be able to do that because then I could just like, oh, I kind of want to see what Denver's like. I kind of want to live Denver for a year or two. Oh,
Right.
let me maybe I'll try Chicago or something like that. Like
Exactly.
and it's
Digital
so cool.
nomads.
so would
Um,
you guys would be
Man.
okay then from working from home for the rest of your career?
oh
Like, you
yeah.
wouldn't miss
Yeah.
like the office or being with your coworkers or any of that stuff?
No, no. I think what's going to happen. And by the way, I want to give a couple shout outs to Karen Wu, um,
Oh, K
K
Dubs.
Dubs,
What up, K Dubs?
Taryn
WeWork is
Future,
dead.
Jung Deb, for hanging out with us as always. They do every Tuesday night here at 8 o'clock on our Twitch channel. But what I've seen is that engineers, like software engineers, there's going to be certain jobs where you're definitely going to have that office setting that will continue to be, but for support roles like sales or marketing or any type of ancillary role,
Yeah.
they're going to give you now the options to work wherever you want, and I think it's amazing.
It's so fucking huge.
Wouldn't it be amazing? I just think it's so good. I just think the
Yeah.
flexibility that comes along with it.
Yeah, seriously, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, you could live
So
anywhere in the
cool.
world. That's like what people have
Mhm.
been trying to do these past like 20 years, you know? Like,
Exactly.
Oh man, I could live in like England.
Well, hey, one thing that I've noticed is so since we spoke last week, Benny, you still have your haircut. It's looking good. You're in that perfect range of a haircut where it looks great for that, like immediately 1.5 weeks later. Where,
Exactly.
like,
And oh my God, that's so true.
Right?
I love that.
Like your hair never
Yeah, 'cause
looks
it's-
good the day after you get it done. You got to wait a
Yeah.
little bit for it to grow.
Because there's like that, like a slight bit of regret. You're like, oh man, I think I got like too short here, or like it's there, like I don't know about it. But then like you kind of like get over it. And you're like, oh okay, well fuck. I mean, looks kind of good.
Right.
So,
But Mr. C, you got your haircut. It looks like. Did you go in to your barber knowing the terms that Benny told us last week?
it's actually funny. I was about to text you, Benny, and be like, hey, send me some of those terms before I go in. And I forgot. So I walk into this barbershop. I'm in Jacksonville. It's this place called Don's Barbershop. And I walk in and everyone in there is like 80 plus, like 80 years old plus. I'm like, I'm in trouble. They don't know how to cut like young people's hair. I'm in deep trouble. The girl calls me up. Like I'm sitting in the chair considering like, I'm just going to stand up. I had a reservation. Like I'm just going to stand up and walk out. Like I don't trust these people to cut my hair. Cause like, it's literally dude, like people like in wheelchairs and like with walkers, like get into the chair.
Right.
I'm like, this is not the barbershop for me. So this woman calls me up. She sits me down. I'm like, yeah, I just wanted to like, can you just cut it up like a little higher? Like I want it short, really high, just the top long. Didn't ask any questions. Asked me about my beard. And I was like, I can take care of my beard. She's like, she was actually like, she was like, no, you can't. Cause my beard was so gross. She's like, no, you can't. And I was like, okay, you can do it. So she like really did my beard nice. Like it's very
wow,
clean.
Dude, you got
and
it.
Benny,
Nice
I know you get on
there.
me a lot about my beard and like,
yeah, man.
How clean is it right now? It looks
so
nice, right?
clean, so clean.
So
It blends into your sides pretty well, huh?
Right. So she cuts it. I love it. I get home. I'm like, maybe I just like it because sometimes you get that new fresh cut and you're like, I love it, but in reality, it's not that great. I get home. My girlfriend's like, that's the nicest haircut you've ever gotten. Like I've ever seen.
Nice.
Ever.
Really?
Yeah. Quick side story, real quick, real funny story. So she's cutting my hair, right? Like right here, like around this spot.
Right.
Takes out this stuff. And she's like, listen, I've noticed that there's a little bit of spacing in between your hair, like right here. And I was like, yeah, I think my hairline's like starting to recede. And she's like, okay, I got your back. She takes this stuff. It's like these little hair follicles. And she like poured this powder like in my hair and like went like this. And it's like this brown stuff that like gets stuck to your skin. And it works. Like it makes it look like your hair's thicker, like at the base here.
Yeah.
What?
And I'm like, I would never fucking do that. Like it was so weird. Cause you can, if you look close, you can see your scalp is just brown. Like it's just the color of your hair. And it looks like someone like planted dirt there or something. And she was like being nice, but it was
I think that's what.
damn,
Are you serious?
I'm visually balding to the point where she's like offering me a free product.
Well, I think that's what LeBron uses, if I'm not mistaken. Like he uses something similar to that, right? Where it's like topics with an X.
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the end.
It looks like I don't even know how to describe it. It looks like dirt, like really thin dirt.
Yeah.
And like you just like shake it like a pepper shaker on
like
your
a salt
head.
shaker.
Like a salt shaker.
Dude, you almost had it. I can't believe
I know,
stopped.
but it didn't make sense because
I'm
brown.
gonna shake it like a pepper shaker. God, that was such a bust, dude. You disappoint me.
That's not my strength. That's not my strength.
Gosh.
But yeah, so that was like very revealing, so that like it's clear to people who cut my hair that my hairline's receding, but also that there is a product to help that, but I don't think I'd ever use it.
So there's a
I don't think I would use that either.
Quick shout outs to All Might 8882, Terran Future and Karen Wu again, hanging out in Australia with us. They want us to work from there. But
cool. So what else is going on?
Well, so just to close out the loop there. See, my barber had to take my hairline up a little bit.
Ooh.
I actually have to shave here a little bit to reduce the spacing. It's weird.
Why did he do that?
Because otherwise you can noticeably see a space. Yeah, it's
so you gotta like shave it back to where it's.
You gotta shave it back just a little bit to where it's thick. So I mean, I think it still looks natural. Like it doesn't look bad.
Yeah,
but
that's good. I'm
But
getting there soon. Look at me.
yeah, dude. Like,
See it like it's so
happening
thin
to all
up
of us.
top.
what do you guys think? Are you guys gonna do hair transplants or are you just gonna go bald all the way?
Hair transplants. Once I have enough money, dude.
Yeah.
If girls can get new tits and it's normal, I'm gonna get
Whoa.
fucking hair replacements.
Whoa. The
Like
two
I'm
word.
saying. Yeah. Tots.
uh,
Dude, I've been saying shit the whole time.
Have you the
You're gonna stop me at tits?
yeah
The hell?
I think that's against the
God. Yeah. The
I-
Twitch. stream?
the problem with the
I'll
problem
call them twits.
the just call them boobs. The problem with the hair transplants is it leaves a scar, pretty bad scar, like on the back of your head.
What?
Yeah,
Can you get?
Yeah.
you got
It's
to
like not noticeable, but it does leave a scar. You have to grow like hair over.
you have to grow hair over it, so you can never have your hair short. And if
Let me
your
look this up.
transplant doesn't go well, then you're screwed.
Yeah, I just gotta wait 10 years for the technology to get better.
Right.
I'm actually invested in a company that's invested in that type of field.
Really?
Yeah, symbol VERO.
Okay. What's
It's,
what's the technology?
So basically, it's the robot, the machine, the hair transplant machine
Okay.
at doctors or whatever you are.
I get-
That
I think they're hair surgeons. Yeah.
hair surgeons, right? So that's the machine that they use to do the procedure.
Okay.
Is and I think it's like called robotics. They're bought out by another company, but
Interesting.
Restoration Robotics.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it just gets cheaper. Like I hope it
His
just
concept.
gets
Well, that's
like
why
LASIK, you know?
assuming.
like
right.
a LASIK, like just like shot down to like you can do it for like $2,000 now. Like,
Mhm.
dude, if I could do hair transplants for 2,000, I'd do it.
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. I mean, listen, it's to the point to where like if I were to get a hair transplant now, I'd have to do it where my hairline currently is. And it's almost to the point to where it's like, well, at this point, I might as well just stay natural, and then if it goes, just go real short. Just do the white man bald with with the beard.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I'm already planning for. That's already started practicing.
That's why I started
beard.
growing the beard out. Yeah, planning for it. I'm gonna have to get tattoos. I think the other thing is that
let's get some tats, dude.
You want to get some tats? Let's
yeah, I have a good tattoo.
You have
idea.
a good tattoo?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very original
All
too.
right, what is it?
So, you know how like both my parents are big Jimmy Buffett fans.
Yep.
Yes.
We come from a family of parrot heads.
Exactly. So it's a Jimmy Buffett quote, and I think it's fucking tight.
Okay.
So it's the seas in my veins, my tradition remains.
It's not bad.
Yo, just what are you waiting for? What is gonna make you get that tattoo?
I just hate how it costs so much money. Like I feel like I can get like a nice TV for a tattoo.
You're always buying TVs.
I love TVs.
Like every Black Friday, Benny's like, I gotta go buy a new TV.
It's true.
Karen Wu says, why not a Ravenclaw shield?
A Ravenclaw shield?
Yeah.
He's not a Ravenclaw.
Because for a first tattoo, I don't want it to be a Ravenclaw shield.
Right. That makes sense.
That could be a potentially like regrettable tattoo as you get older as well.
Well, you know, know yourself, know your worth. But
there's a
if
lot
you
of
like Harry Potter and you want to rep it, then you got to do it. But I would get a different tattoo if I wanted to represent Harry Potter on some part of my body.
Karen Wu says that is a good phrase though. The seas in my veins, my tradition remains. That's a good phrase.
Pretty tight, right?
Well, you're not gonna get it like on your rib cage, are you?
I kind of wanted to, but I figured like
do back. You should do it in your back.
Yeah, you should do it on your back.
Well, I was actually like so I was gonna do do it on my bicep, my inner bicep.
Bicep is good because you're pretty good about working out and all that kind of stuff.
And dude,
it's
that tattoo would be so cheap. Just that phrase would be not expensive. It'd be under $100.
Well, I think I wanted to get like the nautical compass too.
Okay, that's not bad.
So, because like I feel like I don't want just quotes. Like I kind of want like some sort of like drawing or
like
art.
an image. Yeah.
Well, the artwork for one of Buffett's albums is, I think, Changes in Latitudes, Changes in Attitudes is the nautical compass.
Shut up.
Yeah, I'm
dude.
pretty sure.
I can confirm that.
But yeah, no.
If that's the case, that's what's going on my arm.
That's
and I'm getting it. I'm locking it in.
Yeah. Karen Wu says, what about
Oh my God, it
waves?
is.
What about waves on your blood vessels?
Waves on my blood vessels?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that means. Karen Wu, what does that mean? Waves on your blood vessels? Is that like? I don't know.
Or like right here?
Here's the thing about going bald, though. If you're gonna be a white guy and you're gonna go bald and you're gonna pull off this move, I feel like you need to, number one, you need to be in decent shape. Like, you can't be a fat guy bald with a beard. It just doesn't look good. You got to be in somewhat decent shape, and you have to be somewhat tan. Like, you have to be outside.
Tan. You have 100% have to be tan. That's my fallback, dude. I'm a little worried, but I might just get like fake bigs once I get older and like just not get
so bad for you though. It's so bad.
Oh no, but like not.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like lotion. Some. Yeah, you don't want to go too orange though. You don't want to go too orange.
I've done it, dude. I've done a lotion tan.
A lotion tan is fine. Yeah.
It looked good.
You have to worry.
Really.
Yeah, but Benny, you're not that pale, dude. Like, you're only pale if you don't go out in the sun ever. Like,
that's why it worked. It worked fine.
Yeah, I mean, he does have that Irish skin though. That Irish skin does burn pretty quickly.
If I don't go out in the sun, if I'm like sheltered in place for like 2 months, if I'm quarantined, for instance, then I get really pale.
I mean, if I'm sheltered in place for 2 months, I'm pretty pale too. So
yeah, it's true.
Oh, like so what? Karen Wu's explained the sea is the waves. In my veins, blood vessels. See in my blood.
Oh, that's creative.
There you go.
The seas in my veins.
My tradition remains. I don't know. I guess people aren't really liking our conversation about this because we lost half our viewers. That's our...
Yeah, we can switch.
So
this is very close to our hearts, obviously.
If you've never listened to the show here, what we do is we just kind of bullcrap in the beginning and before we get into the actual meat of the show. But thanks so much for everyone who's hanging out. Be sure to share with a friend. That's how we help this grow. But we've got some really good stories this week. We got like 5 really good Florida man stories. Yeah. So is there anything else? Any other questions before we dive into the show here in the chat? I have to keep looking up. I feel bad because usually my camera's like over there. When I'm here, I'm back. But yeah, no, I gotta look up.
You're all out of whack, Raj.
I'm all out of whack, dude.
You're all out of whack.
I'm all out of whack. I gotta get back. I gotta get back to Florida.
He misses it.
I do miss it.
You missed the sunshine. It's been a beautiful couple days.
Taryn Future and Karen Wu says no, they're not balding yet, so they don't have any more questions for us. So all right.
Been ripping us.
They hate us right now. All right, let me get to the show outline here. Bear with me. All right. You guys ready to do this?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back to the Untitled Florida Man Project, the show that brings you the top stories about America's favorite citizen, the Florida Man. Each week we dive deep into our favorite headlines made possible by the Sunshine Act of 1976. But in order to navigate the mind of the Florida Man, you'll need guides familiar with the swamps, rivers, beaches, theme parks, and homogenous strip malls that litter the landscape of the Sunshine State. To know the Florida Man, you have to be a Florida Man. That's why I am here. I'm one of your 3 native Floridians, Roger Roper, and alongside me are my 2 co-hosts who are also native-born Floridians. The first of which is Benny Buffett. We call him
What's
Ben.
going on?
And we also have Mr. C, or you can just call him C.
C. Duval, baby. Let's go.
You can subscribe to our Twitch channel for free via our Amazon affiliate link. So if you have Amazon Prime, you can just attach it to your Twitch and you subscribe for free. We also want to hear from you in our chat. You can send us your Twitch bits. Additionally, check out all the great content from Shat on Entertainment, Shat podcasts such as Shat on TV, Shat the Movies, Shappy Hour, Squad Goals, all kinds of fun stuff. That being said, Squad Goals. That being said, I'm sorry, I called you guys Big D. We just recorded a podcast. Benny and Mr. C, what was your own personal Florida Man moment of the week?
Start with you, Mr. C.
Go ahead, Benny. You go first.
Oh, Mr. C, if it would be so rude for me to go first.
Please, Benny. Please go first.
Okay, if you insist. So my Florida Man moment of the week just so happened to be this weekend. I was on a boat and I pulled up to, and I got live bait from another boat on my way out to the inlet. And we talked, and we had a great conversation. And we just both said how much we loved being in Florida, and that was my Florida man moment of the week.
So let me get this straight. So you're going out, you're going fishing.
Yes,
right
fishing.
now, and you just pulled up to this other boat.
Yep. And they were selling live bait.
And they were selling live bait. So in Florida, before you go out, I assume like you're in the channel before you go offshore. They're just people just selling bait on the boat, so you don't. I guess for extra convenience, is that what's happening?
Yeah, I mean sometimes you need bait.
Yeah. Sometimes
you just launch from like a boat ramp.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it was cool.
All right.
Did you catch any fish?
Yeah. Did you catch any fish with that bait?
No,
we got some
bad
bait.
bait.
Yeah, bad bait.
We had some pilchers. Nothing was biting out here. It was kind of upsetting. But I mean, you know what? It is what it is. Weekends are rough in Southeast Florida. A lot of boats running the reefs, and it just stresses out the fish.
Yeah.
So I don't think anyone really caught anything. Yeah, it was crazy. You just see like these big charter boats like zigzagging a reef, and there's like 10 of them in a line.
Now these charter boats are now before the whole coronavirus, during the whole coronavirus, were they shut down, or were they still going?
They were shut down.
They were shut down. So now they're back in full effect.
Are
people on these charter boats? Like, have they reduced like the number of people that can be on these boats, or not?
I don't believe so. But like these are there's like nice ones to where like they only allow for like 6 people at most.
Right.
And there's like some really, dude, honestly, we should do it one time. It's so much. It's like a nice boat. For like half a day. It's like $120 a person or so.
Right. You gotta tip your captain and your first mate.
Tip the captain for sure. But I mean, it's just fun because it's like a big boat and you can like go in the air conditioning and stuff.
Yeah. Do you think those will get closed down again though? Those
charter boats? Closed down.
You don't think?
I don't think so. Unless the captain or one of the first mates tests positive for corona for a specific boat.
Right.
Then I mean they would have no reason to shut down, right? Like they're not the one like bars and restaurants and stuff. If their employees are found to be test positive, or people that went to that bar or restaurant get tested positive,
right,
it blows up in the media, and then they're like almost like forced to close. But like charter captains, it's not a big deal.
Well, Jung Deb put a little boat emote in our
wow,
nice. Thanks, Jung Deb. What about you, Mr. C? What was your personal Florida man moment of the week?
I feel like my Florida man story was the one that I just told about the
barber.
The barber.
Yeah.
But I could say something. I went up to Jacksonville to visit my grandfather.
Sure.
It's not really like a Florida funny story, but went to visit him for Father's Day, and he started telling me all these crazy things, like all these he was in Vietnam, and telling me all these crazy war stories and like what he was doing. And I was like, how old were you when you were doing all this? Like, he was like 3 years younger than me. And we just talked for an hour about like how easy we have it, like this generation compared to like almost every generation before us in terms of like just being shipped off to war. Like these dudes were like 18 years old, man, like getting shipped off like in this like foreign country, like getting shot at while we're just like pissing ourselves about like being stuck in the house because of a quarantine.
Right.
Like he was like insinuating a little bit that he's like, I just don't understand why people can't just stay in their houses. Like, right. I just don't get it. Yeah. And like, he's like, the shit that we had to put up with when we were your age, it's like not even close to what you guys are having to do. And like, you guys just can't do it. He's like, it's just like, I watch people get upset about it. And it baffles me. So I thought that was really interesting, that perspective that he had.
We're such a generation of convenience. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we're spoiled. I mean, it's not our fault, but we have it easy.
Do you think it's the kids that are up in arms about quarantine? Because for the most part, it seemed like the Zoomers and the millennials were like, yeah, whatever. Like we'll hang out and just watch and make TikTok videos. It seemed to me like the older generation was upset about staying indoors.
Like I think it's like late teens, 20s, and like early 30s, because it wasn't really like killing us, right? Like the data didn't show that it was like really like harmful to us at all, and a lot of people were asymptomatic, and we were just like, man, like what the fuck? Like why are we like just sitting in here?
Yeah.
I thought it was different generations were upset about it for different reasons.
Yeah, that
Like
makes sense.
it seemed like the boomers were really upset because it was like an infringement on their rights.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a very libertarian type of anger where they were
Sure.
like, "Well, you can't tell me what to do. Like you're infringing on my rights." And I think for people our age, it was just like I think we just doubted that the coronavirus would actually get to us. It's almost like a we're invincible kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna go
Yeah.
out, and if we get it, we're gonna be fine.
Sure.
Like we just don't care.
Yeah.
It was like an apathy kind of thing for us, I think. But I mean, I think all generations have kind of ignored it, which is stupid. But
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
I'm part of that, so
No, I agree. I think, I flew this week, and I know there's a lot of people that who don't live in Florida that are reading the news reports coming out of Florida, and I gotta say, like, at least in the airports, no, here's my Florida man story of the week. The Orlando airport, I've never seen it this dead before. Like, it's almost, you saw the memes of like where the world is healing, and you have like the dolphins coming back and like ducks that haven't been there in like 100 years. That's how I
Right.
kind of felt Orlando is right now, because I drove through I-4, no issues down in Disney, like it's
Oh yeah.
completely clear skies down there, and then the airport on a Saturday, empty. No one was in line to go through that. So I was like, this is like Orlando would die without tourism. It would completely fold. But when you get to Miami, everyone's wearing masks in the airports. Everyone was abiding by the 6-foot rule. So I know there's a lot of chatter going on online, but Florida's doing the best that they can. I think unfortunately, when you have certain people in political offices and they're kind of saying, well, we're going to open back up again, it kind of gives people who didn't want to take it seriously free reign to go out and do whatever they wanted, which is actually one of our stories. But
right.
we're seeing the unfortunate effects of that here in Arizona, where it's now mandated in the state you got to wear a mask again. Texas is the same way. Florida's the same way. So what did your grandfather ultimately say though about that? Knowing that he's had the life experience that he had, is he taking it seriously? Is he wearing the mask and doing all that?
Yeah, no, he's taking it really seriously. He's like he's not angry. He's like baffled. He just doesn't
Yeah.
understand why people aren't listening. He just kept saying, me and Benny actually were talking to someone on Facebook, someone who thinks like the coronavirus is like fake or some shit, something really stupid.
Always.
And we were arguing with him. And I was telling my grandfather that like I was talking to this guy on the internet and I was getting frustrated that he was just like this conspiracy theorist. He's like, I just don't get why people don't trust anyone anymore. Like,
Yeah.
why don't people trust the government? Or like, why don't people trust experts? It doesn't make sense. He's just baffled by the whole like, I'm not going to listen to you. Like, I'm
Yeah.
a spoiled brat. Like, I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do whatever I want.
I think it's a double-edged sword with the popularity of the internet, right? Like that we were worried about that in the absence of any kind of regulation, in the freedom of it. Let me say that again. With the advent of free information, you're going to have bad actors that are going to spread disinformation. There's always been individuals that have bought information. I mean, think of like the 50s and the 60s when the tobacco industry would buy doctors to promote their cigarettes when they knowingly knew that the product they were selling was causing lung cancer, or like the oil industry in the 70s. So it's the method by which they're spreading disinformation has changed. And so the argument becomes, do we regulate the internet, or do we just make it easier for people to understand what's real and what's verified and what isn't? Because ultimately this is weaponized propaganda, right?
I think it's the second one. I mean, I think the second one and the first one are kind of the same thing. Like I think that like regulation's a scary word for people right now. Like, especially on the internet, like it's like, can you regulate free speech? That's like the argument, but there has to be some sort of like, I know this is a really simple comparison, but like when you're verified on Twitter, like there has to be something like that where it's like, if you post something or something's posted, there has to be some sort of like symbol or indicator that says this is a real news source with credentials. This is like some news source someone built in his garage and like named it newscentral.com. Like there has to be like you have to be made official or something. There has to be some sort of like official stamp that you
Like a
have.
Twitter check mark.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like
I mean,
like a rating system. Like here's where this news source falls on the spectrum of, you know, biasy versus non-biasy. I don't know. Everything's that's crazy.
something.
Karen Wu says, well, Twitter started taking down Trump lies, or I don't know if Twitter started doing that or there was one thing, but the one thing that I don't want to get this political, but I think there was a guy on Twitter that was basically just retweeting what our president was saying, and within a matter of 3 days, his account got flagged.
Really?
Yeah, it was just a good social experiment, which I love good social experiments.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because like people are getting so up in arms about Twitter doing that, but it's like they're a private industry. Like they could start banning whoever the hell they want to. I know that
Right.
I'm not saying that that's right, but like
Sure.
if they feel, and I think I'm on their side about it, if they feel like this is inciting,
Yeah.
whether it's misinformation or like calls to arms or violence,
Yeah.
like I think they should be responsible and not. I mean, imagine being responsible for like a lot of these people writing these manifestos and stuff and being like, oh yeah, well I read the tweets on Twitter and they're liable at that point. Like they have to watch their own backs, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, again, I'm all for the freedom of information, and you shouldn't regulate information and all that kind of stuff. But it's scary times. And we're seeing this right now with the coronavirus, right? Where people, I think, opened up a little too soon, states a little too soon for their own. And then it's become a real big, and no other country is experiencing this. Like all the other countries are like, yeah, we solved it. Like we figured it out. And
Like every European country. Have you seen that graph of like the chart of like, it's like the United States just like keeps going up and Europe's like going down. And you're like, and if you see that graph and you still think that like we handled this correctly, then I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
Like,
Right. Well, we're testing more. Well, of course. Yeah. But I mean, other countries are testing.
Well, that's like Trump. That's like Trump saying like,
other countries
if we just
are
tested
testing
less, we'd have less cases.
Right.
No shit.
That was so fucking dumb.
How dumb was that?
That was the dumbest thing to say.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, so all right. Well, let's get into our stories of the week. Let's see here. Our first story of the week comes. This is pretty funny. The headline is interesting. It's more interesting than when we get into it. Okay, so the headline is Florida woman's lawsuit seeks paternity tests for goats. So immediately I thought this was something. It's apparently a Florida woman filed a civil suit accusing a neighbor demanding a paternity test for her goats that she purchased in December. Now this seems like, oh, someone out there diddling my goats, but no. The lawsuit filed by this Florida woman demands that her neighbor either refund the $900 that she paid for the 5 Nigerian dwarf goats that she purchased, or provide a sample of the DNA from the goats' purported father to prove their lineage. She alleges that she was under the impression that she would be able to register the goats' pedigrees with the American Dairy Goat Association. So, guys, first of all, do you know what a Nigerian goat is? I think this is what a Nigerian dwarf goat looks like.
Yeah,
Are
just
those
like
the ones that jump on? Are those ones that jump on you?
I don't know. Goats are very cute, but it seems as if she wants to. Have you guys ever tried goat's milk? I've had goat's cheese.
I've had goat cheese.
I've had goat cheese, yeah.
But I've never had goat milk.
I think they are the ones that jump on people.
Are they?
Are these like the goat yoga ones, Benny?
Yeah, they're so
Jump on
fucking
your
cool.
back.
Have you done goat yoga, Benny?
No. Oh my gosh, Joe Biden.
Would you do a goat yoga?
Hell yeah, dude. Why not?
What about you, C? Have you ever done goat yoga?
I haven't, but I would. I just didn't understand. I didn't understand what it was for so long. I was like, well, what is goat yoga? And I still am. I kind of unsure what it is. Isn't it just like you do yoga
It's a
and
gimmick.
like there's just
It's gotta
goats
be
like
a
walking
gimmick.
around?
Yeah.
It's just a gimmick. It's just a
That
gimmick.
sounds kind of dumb.
No, it's dude. You're in imagine like you're in like this enclosed space where there's enough for like 10 people to do yoga, and you're doing a yoga class, but there's goats all around you. And
So you can just like take a break and like pet them and stuff, or like
no, they just jump on you. But you can take a break and you can pet them. You can take a break. It's basically like a petting zoo, but you're doing yoga, right?
with the
Instead of
goats.
instead of just being real and be like, hey, you guys want to play with some goats?
Yeah. Do we have to do yoga? Can we just like chill with the goats?
It feels like goat yoga is like the most like basic bitch situation thing to do, or basic Chad thing to do. You know, I don't want to discriminate, but
Very
like
true.
it's a very
Yeah,
basic
dude, watch
activity.
your tone against bro culture. Okay?
Basic bro. That's what it is. It feels like you would drive up there in your BMW X5 with your pumpkin spice latte and do a little goat yoga.
Yeah, or nitro cold brew.
Nitro cold brew. Well,
these baby goats are so cool. I got a YouTube video up.
Well, the Florida woman alleges that I guess the neighbor that she bought the goats
what
from
is this
responded, offered to take the goats back and give them a refund, but apparently it just seems like bad neighboring. Apparently, the Florida woman who's claiming that the goats aren't pedigree, she won't take the refund. She keeps trespassing. I don't know. It's going to court. But this is if I was a judge, and I think this comes from Ocala.
Oh God,
you know that this is happening constantly.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So.
Goddamn neighbor, give me goddamn wrong goats.
That's right. Like,
so I guess like goat adoption is pretty serious. It's going to court.
Yeah.
Guys, next video.
I also
the goat woman.
I also didn't realize how cheap goats.
Goat
were.
queen.
If I wanted 5 Nigerian dwarf goats for $900, that seems pretty low to me, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking, Raj?
I'm thinking we need some goats.
And just be real with people and be like, hey, you want to come hang out with some goats?
Do some yoga.
You don't have to do yoga. You can just chill. We'll give you a beer.
Just like a goat bar. Can you do like a goat bar?
Right. Goat milk.
Ooh. How cool would that be?
It's like an outside bar. The goat's just chilling. You're drinking. That sounds like a blast.
We could put jerseys of very successful like people,
athletes like the goat.
The goats.
Have like have their face be like awesome. A goat. That would be cool. It's a sports bar with goats.
It's a sports bar with goats. That's actually
so cool.
Dude, let's go.
We should call it the goat.
The goat.
The goat.
All caps.
It's like the goat. Where do you guys want to watch a game at tonight? The goat.
The goat. Where else?
Yeah, you get like your girlfriends and go play with goats while you just watch sports.
And the girls would be like, hell yeah, let's go to goat.
Oh, that's fantastic. We're definitely gonna go to goat. All right. Our second Florida man story title is Florida Man with Machete Tattoo was arrested for something that's absurd on his face. Now, you guys might have seen this on our Twitch channel or our Twitter channel. Did you guys see this? Did you guys see this guy with the machete tattoo?
Yes, I saw the picture, yeah.
All right, so apparently deputies in Hernando County said that they got a report of battery. The victim, an adult man, told them the incident happened Saturday. In this account, he returned to the residence for a show, but there were several people there for a gathering. Well, apparently this guy with the machete tattoo was there, and in the claim, the suspect started arguing. So the guy with the machete tattoo started arguing with the victim for no apparent reason, and then the victim asked him to take this outside so they wouldn't do this in front of him. First of all, if I'm arguing with someone with a machete tattoo underneath his eye, I want witnesses. That's where this guy went wrong. Right?
I don't want to take that outside.
I don't want to take this outside.
I just want to call the cops.
I want to be where there are going to be a lot of possibly people with cell phones that can take video of this. What's going to happen.
All that I can run behind.
Or something. Well, apparently they go outside. The victim told the machete tattoo guy to leave. And the tattoo guy said, okay, fine. But I need to go get my wallet and cell phone. The victim said, no, you got to leave. So at this point, the guy, the Florida man with the tattoo, takes out a machete and swings at the victim's face. According to deputies, the victim placed his left arm in front of his face and his left forearm was struck with the blade of the machete. Oof. The victim felt severe pain and then just passed out. Just done. But apparently, this guy with the machete took the victim to another house, to another residence, where another person drove him to the hospital. So, I mean, I guess, like, are you mad at him? No, number one, again, I'm not fighting with the guy with a machete on his face because he's obviously carrying a machete with him at all times, right? Why else?
Oh my God.
Get a tattoo?
Was this happened in Spring Hill?
Yeah, Spring Hill, which is
Really?
north of Tampa.
That's where my girlfriend grew up.
Yeah, Spring Hill.
Wow. I wonder if she knows this guy.
How old is the guy?
I think the guy's like in his late 20s, if I'm not mistaken.
She might.
Yeah.
You could have went to high school with her.
How crazy is this, though?
Wild.
So you're thinking about getting a tattoo, Benny. Would you ever get one on your face? Would you ever get a face tattoo?
No.
No.
Not trash.
Like, at what point do you think that getting a face tattoo, like, you must know that you have no legitimate like future in the business world.
But let's think about
You're an
that.
artist, that's cool.
I was gonna say
You're an artist, yeah.
You're seeing this
Yeah.
next generation of like artists, like Post Malone, and there's a lot, there's a lot, that are getting face tattoos. Has it become mainstream? Like, are you gonna see a generation try to normalize this?
Like, artists get tattoos because they can do whatever they want. Like, there's no one that's telling them what to do. And like,
I can't get it. I mean, I think it'd be cool to have like a cool neck tattoo, but I just can't do that.
But like, how quickly would you be fired, Benny, if you came in and you had like a teardrop or like a sword across your face? Like, how quickly, or would you get fired?
I probably wouldn't get fired, but like I would probably, I wouldn't be promoted really. I don't think.
What if it was?
You can't be an executive with a teardrop.
Exactly.
What if it was the symbol for Excel, like the Excel logo? And you were
just
like,
a big.
It's just like I'm really into data.
Or just like a big spreadsheet on your forehead.
101010 on your eyes to like create like glasses.
Yeah.
What are you? I'm a data nerd.
Be like
That's kind of cool.
Pivot table, but just put a pivot table like right here.
I
think that would be good. I think it would be good. So
I'm surprised you said that you wouldn't get fired from that. I would thought you would. I guess
Yeah.
you just can't be like company facing with, because I guess no one sees you. I mean, like if you're going on a business trip and you're like representing your company and you have a face tattoo.
Well, that's what always.
I don't know. I don't know if are there protections against that. You can get fired. You can't get discriminated against because of tattoos.
Well, it
sounds like a lawsuit to me.
It's a gray area, and I'll say this because I worked with someone who had sleeves, who had full sleeves, and anytime we did a conference or a convention, typically like at conventions at our booths, you don't have to wear in the tech business especially, you don't have to wear suit and tie, so that we would have like polos. Well, he had to get one with long sleeve. He had to wear a long sleeve polo shirt so that his tattoos wouldn't show. But I mean, I guess if you're a founder, CEO of a tech company, you can do whatever you want, right? I think it depends on your position.
Right.
Big time.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like if Elon Musk got face tats, no one would be like, oh, I'm not investing.
I feel like Elon Musk, before he dies, will have some sort of facial tattoo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, he can do whatever he wants, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
He can start trends.
At what point?
He's a cool guy.
At what point do you just say, "I've got fuck you money"? Like, what for you? What's that figure to where you say, I'm just going to do whatever I want"?
For me?
Yeah. What's that figure in your head?
Am I making this annually or like what's my net worth?
Yeah, net worth. How much you have?
100 million.
I was gonna say 100 million too. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
100 million. I don't care. I don't care about anything that you.
I just can't imagine running out of money with $100 million.
I feel like if I had $10 million, I'd stop.
I think 10 million, I would stop working. I would start doing things I wanted to do.
Yeah.
10 million, definitely. I'd be able to be conservative.
Because you could just invest that money, right? You could just.
Right.
In a
you could buy a house.
In an interest rate account. Yeah. Money market account.
And just
if you invest like $5 million into what you just said, could you live off that for the rest of your life?
Yeah, you just calculate that. Well, you calculate the percentages because then you have compounding interest if you reinvest it. But it depends on how much you take out.
Right.
So you put yourself on a budget of like what? $5,000 a month? $6,000? No, even at that much money, $10,000 a month.
Well, I'll show you. I'll show you how you do
a pretty
this.
decent life.
So there's money market accounts that give you probably about like 1.2 interest rate, but I don't know. I think they might lower.
That doesn't sound like facial tattoo money to me.
Well, if you have $10 million, it is.
Yeah, I mean, what's the calculation on that? Like,
is it 120,000?
So if you have 5 million invested.
Okay.
Oh shit! Oops.
But if
you said what, Bennett? Benny 0.01?
0.0 .0120.
That's $60,000.
So that's your annual income.
That's not bad.
It's not bad,
Could live off of that.
but it's not like fuck you
But
money.
at the same time,
It's not
that's
facial tattoo money. No.
Yeah.
well, I mean, that's just how much you draw from a salary, but like you're not going to do that. Like, so you're not really ever taking that principal. You're just taking the interest that you earn. So you can still dip into the principal as well on top of that 60,000,
So you could invest it in something else or put it in the stock market and then.
or draw from it.
Right.
Like if you draw, dude, you have $10 million. If you draw 100,000, you're not living for 100 years.
10 million's good, but you're right. I think 50 million's facial tattoo money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say if you win the lottery,
Yeah.
$10 million lottery,
Right.
are you getting a face tattoo?
No.
No, because
I mean, in all honesty, I'm never getting a face tattoo.
a
No
neck
matter how much
tattoo
money
I
I
might
make.
do. I might
Maybe
do
a neck,
tattoo.
yeah.
I would do a neck. I like the line, just like a one line of like some symbols and shit.
Yeah, maybe.
That's where I get my Excel tattoo.
All right. Our next Florida man story. Florida man carrying nearly 500 grams of weed tries to steal plane to meet girlfriend. This is a fun one. A Florida man is behind bars after he attempted to steal an airplane at the New Smyrna Beach Municipal Airport, which is just south of Daytona, to fly to California allegedly to meet his girlfriend while carrying nearly 500 grams of marijuana. This, of course, is according to the New Smyrna Beach Police Department. On Saturday, officers were alerted that a stolen vehicle had been found at the airport, and while in the process of locating that vehicle, officers were flagged down by a man who said it was his vehicle that was stolen. The victim told officers that a man unknown to him jumped into the back of his truck and offered him $1,000 for a ride. The man then got out of the truck but left a grinder, scale, and cell phone behind. At the same time, the victim flagged down officers to describe the incident. Another officer at the airport was notified by a flight instructor that this Florida man you see on screen here was with a blue bag and crouching on the wing of a plane on a portion of the tarmac that was not accessible for the public. According to a report, the man asked the flight instructor how he could fly a plane. By the time the officers reached the tarmac, the man was sitting in the right seat of the aircraft, and when officers approached him, he again asked the officers if they knew how to fly a plane. The man then jumped from the emergency exit window of the plane and was detained by officers. So apparently, this guy, I guess, carjacks another Florida dude, drives him to the New Smyrna Municipal Airport. It's a smaller airport. It's not a big airport. And then is just running around with this duffel bag full of weed, asking people if they know how to fly a plane. Like, what does he think is going to happen? Does he think he's going to learn how to fly the plane? Or,
I mean, it just sounds like he was high enough. He didn't even need a plane, to be honest with you. Like that's that guy. You know,
how did he get so close? Did you say he was in the plane?
He was in the right seat of the aircraft. So he's in the plane at this point.
How does that happen? Like, how do you get to that point?
I don't know.
That's crazy.
Well, officers said they found his ID, sunglasses, headphones, cigarillos, 2 lighters.
Cigarillos.
Is it cigarillos? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cigarillo.
What is a cigarillo? Cigarillo's like a Swisher Sweet?
Yeah, it's like tobacco wrapped in like a blunt paper.
Oh, okay. A pocket knife and a laptop. A glass.
I don't know that.
This is the
I don't know either.
Been reading a lot of Florida man stories, so I just pick things up.
It just comes across.
This is the telltale sign, though. A glass pipe was also found and tested positive for methamphetamine. Yeah, and so then next to the duffel bag was a container holding the marijuana. This is his story. So this is what he tells the officers. He says that he had just recently purchased an aircraft for $20,000 cash, and then he was going to fly to California to meet his girlfriend. He advised that he did not have any paperwork on him, and he did not know the person he bought it from. But he was let into the airfield by security, and it should be known that there is no security on duty at the airport. So that's clearly how he got to just board this aircraft.
So this guy was high on
I like how he thought the airplane was like only $20,000.
Right.
Like what the hell?
Well, apparently 5 goats is only $900. So if you're going by goat dollars,
Dude, you can buy a you can't even buy a Mazda 3 for $20,000.
Right.
Dude, the weed part looks so bad in this because everyone's gonna see the weed part and be like, this guy was high, that's why he was doing this, but it was the meth.
It was definitely the
The
meth.
weed is the victim here. The weed should not be
Let's just make that publicly clear.
Right.
okay?
Yeah, should not be made a villain. It had done nothing
Right.
wrong. It was the
Right.
meth.
Yeah,
It was just
Karen Wu
a
said, how many
sale.
grams did he smoke? I don't think he was smoking any of the first rule of dealing drugs is you don't smoke your stash.
the
I
10
think this-
crack commandments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this guy he's smoking meth. Which, stories like this make me never want to touch methamphetamine. You know what I mean?
Meth is like
Yeah.
the root to all of these stories. I feel like 50% of our Florida Man stories have been related to
Related to meth, yeah.
meth.
Yeah.
So
Does anyone know anything about meth? Like, what is that? Just like a crazy upper? I'm assuming.
yeah,
like,
it's a huge
it's just like an insane.
it
Yeah,
just
it's like a
it's apparently
probably the best feeling I'll ever feel.
Apparently, it is.
apparently it just makes you go. So there's a Netflix documentary. God, I wish I remember the name of it, but essentially it tells the story of these two lab scientists in Massachusetts. One
It's called like How to Get Away with the Drug Scandal.
right, yeah. How to fix a drug scandal. That's
Yeah.
the name of the documentary. One of them it was like a really top-notch scientist, top of her class, was doing her job, but I guess in these drug labs they have, what do they call them? Not samples, but what do they
It
call
was
them?
like
You know what I'm
it
talking
was like
about?
evidence, but
No, it's not
right?
evidence. In order to test whether or not something is a drug, you have to have the actual drug
Oh.
there. God,
it's
what
like
do
a
they call it?
like a control.
Control, yeah.
Yeah.
So they have controls there. So what she was doing is she was taking the dropper from the control and doing meth. She was putting it like sublingually underneath her tongue and doing her job. She said she was more productive by doing meth, but because they regulate, it spun out of control, and she like lost
Yeah.
her gig of it. The other person was just faking drug. She wasn't even testing. She was just saying that there were this was drugs, and innocent people were going to jail as a result of it. So it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy how someone in that position is still like wanting to do drugs like that.
Yeah, it makes no sense. I mean, but I guess these drug labs that the states use are just so underfunded and no one pays attention to them that you think you can just get away with it. But yeah, meth's a hell of a drug. A hell of a drug. Anyway. Yeah, this guy definitely, you can tell, just look at his eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, our next story comes, here's the Florida Man headline. Florida Man quits restaurant after, let me start over again. Florida Man quits after restaurant changes name of blackened chicken wings to I Can't Breathe. So have you seen this?
I haven't. No.
Okay, so a South Florida man quit his job at a restaurant after he said the name of a menu item of blackened chicken wings was changed to I Can't Breathe. Apparently, he was running a plate of chicken wings to a guest on Saturday at the Hole in Wall restaurant in Southwest Miami-Dade when he noticed something unusual and offensive with the kitchen ticket. Apparently, the owner of the restaurant put in, like if you ever worked in restaurants, they have like the micros.
Notes.
Yeah, they have notes what you can put in here. So you can order chicken wings and then there's modifiers on that. Well, apparently the owner went into his micro system and changed the modifier from blackened to I Can't Breathe. And he said, "Oh, I thought this would be funny." He's like, "Hey, we're not going to write blackened anymore. We're going to write I Can't Breathe." And he started laughing.
Yikes.
The Florida man who's said he
Not
quit,
a good look.
not a good look. He said, there's one main reason that absolutely offended me and baffled me is that the fact that we have a 90% black kitchen. So you're basically pretty much joking about the BLM movement, and you think it's a joke that George Floyd was saying, I can't breathe an X amount of times. You think that's funny? That's not funny. And then the owner, of course, went to social media. He said, listen, I want to apologize for my insensitivity and a lame attempt at humor. My intentions were never to offend or make any employee or a customer uncomfortable. And he says he hopes to learn from this incident. This is, again, I don't understand. Like, just don't. How hard is it to not fucking joke about shit like this?
I have to know more about this guy. I have before I cast any spells against him. Because what if he's like a 77-year-old
It doesn't
Cuban guy?
matter. I don't think
It doesn't matter, but at the same time, it's like maybe he's just not funny and he just doesn't realize it.
I that's what, yeah, racism. The Florida man says, I think this joke came from a place where you wouldn't find things that like funny unless you were racist, to be honest. And I think the problem is deeper than that. It's not just I'm sorry, my bad. I mean, come on. That's not even clever. I mean,
the problem right now is like, the big problem is, and I would be a hypocrite saying this because I've done the same thing like in the past. I try not to anymore, but like I was watching this video and this guy was talking about like one of the big problems right now is that people are like these like little micro jokes that you make,
Right.
like these weird stereotype jokes that like seem harmless are kind of like what the problem is. And like, like the whole, yeah, like if you're black, like you're just a better athlete, or like you could jump higher, or you can't swim. Like these things seem like really harmless, but like these things said over and over again in mass
right.
end up being like some of the grounds of racism in the first place. Like
Exactly.
putting these people in groups and saying like they do certain things and like like encaging them, I guess, and like these stereotypes is part of the problem. And
right.
like it's kind of hard to, especially people like our age who've like, I mean, we grew up saying that stuff and it was never a problem, and it should have been, but it wasn't. And like, it's hard for people to get over that now, but I think it's like good to try and make an effort to like
totally
avoid those jokes. And it's like, who cares? Like, you can't say that joke. Like, how doesn't matter. Like,
there's so many better jokes. And then of course, like, know your audience. Like, you're the fucking owner of this bar, and most of your kitchen staff they're not going to find that funny. Like,
yeah.
First of all, it's not a funny joke. Like, what's the joke? Blackened chicken. Like, I can't breathe. I would be like, what
what does this mean? At most clever, but outside of that, it's nothing. Like, it's not. It's at most clever. Like, not even that clever. But it's just it's an excuse for someone to make a joke that they think is clever, but
very
it's
poor taste.
Funny.
Like, too soon. Also. Like
but what if like let me ask you this though. Like, what if like his kitchen staff is 90% black, comes out and defends him and is like, like, this guy's an idiot, but like he's not. He doesn't deserve death threats.
I see what you mean. You're like questioning the character of the person. Maybe he's actually like I
think this guy deserves. This guy deserves to go on blast, though. This owner, like, so what you were talking about was
but you don't
microaggressions, like, Karen Wu.
I guess so. But,
yeah, microaggressions. Yeah, that's what I was. These jokes, like these micro jokes.
I mean, we're not the best people to talk about this because we are all white, but like, we're trying to get better.
I mean, I get it, but
I think it's just,
you gotta give people the benefit of the doubt.
I've worked in restaurants before. There's so many other things to joke about. Like working in the back, behind the house, even if you're front of house or you're back of house, the jokes run rampant, right? But like, you don't,
Well, like, to address what Karen's saying, like, the no offense, but it's probably because you're all white. Like, she has a point, but also, like, you have to have these conversations. Like, this conversation we're having right now is an important conversation.
Sure.
Saying something like 10 years ago, if someone would have made that joke, it would have just went right past me, and I wouldn't have even considered it. I guess that particular joke, not so much, but like, that joke's in bad taste, no matter what.
That joke's pretty bad.
We've all heard a street joke,
but like
that has a racial undertone to it, and and I've never corrected the other person,
right?
Because but maybe I should have.
And that's what we have to start working on, where it's like these tiny little microaggressions are like a bigger deal than we think they are. And they weren't to us when we were younger, but it's like, we should, at this age, and especially like in the current climate, we should know that these things are big deals.
Yeah. Like, I mean, listen, I have family members that I tell you what I've started doing now. I've had family members who say something that's now over the line. I'm just like, I correct them, and I'm like, we don't say that anymore. That's not acceptable. Right. We don't do that anymore. Like, change your way of thinking. It's not funny. It's not right. Let's get better. So that's what I've started to do.
And that's all. That's what we can do to be part of the solution. It's just
exactly. All right, our final Florida man story of the week. This is our fun one. This one has hit the Twitter. This has gone viral, just like our blind alligator did last week. This story comes from Orlando. See, you'll like this. This is This is the
Where is this?
old Florida man fights his way into Walmart without a mask and gets kicked out. Have you seen this
Oh
video?
God, I haven't. Are you gonna play it for us?
I've seen this one.
I can't play the video, unfortunately, because my computer's not powerful enough to do it.
That was in Florida?
That was in Orlando.
It was Orlando?
So, yeah, recently, as you guys know, Governor DeSantis recently has put back safeguards in Florida requiring, certain counties to wear masks. Orange County is a hot spot, so this happened in Orange County. And this Florida man, this older guy, he's like going to Walmart. And the recording of this was shared on Twitter as of Monday. It was viewed more than 5.2 million times. The wild scene went down in Orlando, starts right off in the thick of the action. An elderly man starts storming his way into a Walmart without a face covering, but he gets stopped by the greeter. If you've been to a Walmart, there's a greeter who greets you there. And the greeter is just like spreading his arms open. He's like trying to keep the guy from going in. And at some point, the old man just immediately gets physical. He's pushing his way in. He shoves the employees wearing a mask out of the way. And then he takes a tumble. He like falls down. And then you see the mask guy and all these people surrounding him that are just like, what are you doing? And then
my gosh.
On the second go, a regular Joe, just I guess like another customer gets in, and he's like saying, "Hey, dude, like just get out." Like apparently this old guy's
Please,
also.
dude.
This is the problem with these guys who don't wear masks. When you're politely asked to wear a mask inside the store, immediately their first go-to movement is they start coughing, or they start spitting. Like, I get it if you want to be an asshole and you want to be a jerk and you want to get physical, but why are you even spitting on people?
That's fucking disgusting.
It's so bad.
It's just
right?
like how it just doesn't make sense to me how you could be that age and like throw a temper tantrum like that.
Spitting on someone. How classless is that?
It's really bad. It's really bad. So.
And who wants to get into Walmart that badly?
Yeah, I agree.
That's so
Walmart
true.
sucks.
It's like, oh man, I gotta get these deals. They rolled back chicken prices.
I can't get these anywhere else.
Can't get these.
Right. So this is the guy. Apparently, he finally did leave empty-handed. But again, if you go on Twitter, you can see the video. We'll post the link as well. You can hear the cameraman laughing it up. But this is just pretty. It's surreal. You know what I mean? The lengths that people will do. It's so stupid, and it sucks because it's always our home state. You know what I mean? Like it's always. Like you see this and you're like, I'm pretty sure that's Florida. I'm pretty sure that's Orlando.
Let me see.
Here's the guy again. Look at this guy. Just trying to get in.
Yeah. Well, just to touch on that a little bit. Karen Wu goes, who wants to get into Walmart with a mask that badly? I don't know. I haven't been to Walmart in so long. But Orange County is doing, you can't go anywhere without a mask right now. It's mandated. So like I was at the gym today and people were trying to walk in and without the mask and they were just like, you can't come in. And like people, like person after person just turned around, like not able to come in, which was nice because the gym was empty. But it's they're taking it seriously in Orange County, which is nice. And like what I think they're trying to do is they're trying to prevent like another shutdown.
Right.
Just like, hey, everyone wear their masks, like wash your hands, like maintain social distance so we don't have to shut down again. I don't know if that's going to work, but it's nice to see that they're trying something, I guess.
The same thing is happening here in Scottsdale and in Arizona. The entire state is on mandatory masks, but our president is here tonight, and there was an exception made that if you're going to the rally, you don't have to wear a mask.
Oh, how sweet.
Jeez. Wait, the president's in Arizona right now?
He's in Arizona right now. He's doing a rally right now in North Phoenix.
Wow.
It gets
What
worse.
the hell?
It gets worse.
MAGA.
It gets worse. So he's doing it at a mega church, one of these mega churches.
Oh God.
And earlier this week or maybe over the weekend, the pastors of this mega church recorded a video saying that they have invested in technology that prevents the spread of coronavirus. And And ASU was like, that technology doesn't exist. like so it's all fake. So there were pictures of it today of people lining up, and I don't care if it's for the president, I don't care if it's for Biden, I don't care if you're going in one of these places, if you're going on a protest, wear a mask. At the very least, wear a mask.
Yeah, I want to talk to. So I guess is it tearing future 699 or tearing? Yeah, tearing. Okay. It's actually really it is kind of crappy to work out with a mask on. Like, not I would. It's not so bad where I wouldn't go to the gym, but it's weird to like have to breathe heavily when you're like breathing in your.
I can't do
cardio.
I can
They make you wear the mask while you're working out.
Yeah. You have to wear it while you're in the gym. The only time you are allowed to take it off is if you're like on the treadmill or on the bike. If like you're doing like heavy cardio. But dude, I mean, if you're lifting weights, like you're breathing heavy sometimes, like you're sweating.
Wait, don't you go to LA Fitness?
Yeah.
I went to LA Fitness down here today. It was like that, but you can take your mask off while you're doing like a set. The only time you got to put it on is when you're moving around the gym.
Oh no. So ours is you have to have it on at all times unless you're doing cardio. I mean, so I think every LA Fitness is different. It's like, I think they're privately owned. Like,
that makes sense.
They lease them out to owners, or owners buy them. So it's pretty crazy. But then like Crunch Fitness right across the street, you just have to wear a mask when you walk in, and then you can take it off.
See, and Bailey's in Jacksonville, you don't have to do anything. You just walk in. No mask. No.
And not to give the guy who was shoving the Walmart employee a raw deal, or not to defend his actions, but the inconsistency, I think, is what is aggravating some people. Is that, oh, well, I can go to this one place and I don't need a mask, and I go to this other place and I need a mask. Like,
well, it's because the state is like leaving it up to the private companies to make the rules. Like, instead of the state saying, everyone has to wear a mask if you go into a building, and we're mandating that if you're a private company and you aren't making your people wear masks, like you can get in trouble or you're liable for whatever happens. The state's just saying, all right, you guys figure it out yourselves. If you don't want people to wear a mask, you don't have to. But if you do, you can't. If you want to be responsible, then do it. And it's like, that's not necessarily the best way to do it. Like, there has to be something that's mandated, or they're not going to.
It's poor leadership, right? I mean, this is what Karen Wu says. This is a problem with bad leadership. When no one wants to take a stance, everyone is left, trying to fill the void, and there's no, it leaves people in a situation where they don't know what's the right way to go.
Yeah, Julie said Osceola has been mandatory mask for a while now. I didn't know that.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Duval, no masks needed. No one is wearing a mask.
Yeah, I was just in Jacksonville. There's no one wearing masks.
Volusia is hit or miss. I was down in Miami though, and Broward County, everyone's masks. Everyone is wearing masks.
Yeah. So like Karen Wu, Karen Wu just goes, for example, in Germany, Angela Merkel is telling everyone to wear a mask. Macron was doing the same.
Yeah.
Trump, our president, is literally saying people aren't wearing masks because they're trying to like anger me or like get back at me or defy me.
Yeah.
And it's like, our people are wearing masks to defy me. It's like, it's actually kind of like
it's bad.
Sadly comical about how
it really is
narcissistic he is.
And believe me, this is not I'm not taking a stance of, Republican or Democrat or anything like this. I'd be, if this was Obama saying this, I'd be like, come on, dude. Like, scientists are saying, fucking wear a mask. Wear a mask.
Yeah, no, it's not a partisan thing.
Yeah,
it's like a common sense thing.
Yeah, it's common sense.
But, like, everyone in the world is wearing masks.
Right.
Everyone in the world. Right.
Well,
and you're the select group that's just refusing to wear a mask because it doesn't make you look powerful.
Have you seen that the EU may not allow Americans to travel?
Shut up.
No, I didn't see that.
No.
Yep. We're screwed, dude. We're not going to be able to travel.
Is it like a time, like until just what?
They haven't made a decision, but the headline that I read is the EU may be taking steps to prevent Americans from entering into the countries.
Until further notice, I guess.
Oh.
Yikes. That sucks.
We deserve it.
But I mean, look at New Zealand. I mean, they let in those British tourists, and they tested positive.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. And they had solved it. Like New Zealand had solved it.
So it's back in New Zealand again?
Yeah, well, they had to quarantine those 2 UK tourists.
Oh,
So, I just get ready, boys. Like, we're not going to be able to travel overseas, which is what our passion is traveling. We're not going to be able to travel.
Well, we're supposed to go somewhere in like 2 months, and it's like, I don't think that's happening, or we have to reschedule.
we had to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's honestly a serious thing because I don't, dude. The way think about Orlando, what's happening in Orlando with the restaurants and bars.
Yeah.
They're all closing down.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna tell me a publicly traded. If you go to for instance, if you go to Las Vegas, dude, those casinos and those hotels are publicly traded on the stock exchange, right?
Dude,
If
keep
there's
going. Sorry.
If there's news that comes out that everyone's testing positive for corona after they've been inside their casinos and things like that, dude, they have to shut down. Like, it's such a bad look for companies to be operating with consistently reporting coronaviruses.
Dude, Knight's Pub just got their liquor license
suspended
because they were allowing like workers that they knew had COVID to work.
That's crazy.
Like,
That's
what
stupid.
are you doing? Like, I don't know what the ramifications are of not having your liquor license anymore. Like, I guess you have to reapply and it costs like a crap ton of money, but that's like terrible for a business, you know?
It really is. It's really bad. It's
That's
almost
really
a death
bad.
sentence for places like the Knight's Pub.
You guys think we'll go down to a lockdown again?
I think
Not with
DeSantis and Ducey are really trying their hardest. Ducey out here in Arizona and then DeSantis down in Florida. They don't want it because it's bad politically for them to do another shutdown.
Right.
But I mean,
I don't know if I wouldn't agree with that in terms of like their motive of not shutting down is more politically fueled than it is like being worried about like the economy and things like that.
that's true. But like, how are they going to, like, again, I just think of Orlando. How is Orlando? How are water
By
parks
not going
gonna open?
backwards.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, how are you going to go to a water park with a mask on? Or
Dude, it's like if they don't roll things back, it's basically going to be a swim at your own risk type of thing.
That's going to be crazy.
That's what's happening. That's why you're seeing all these cases is because it is swim at your own risk.
Right.
And people are getting tested positive, and it's what are you gonna do? You reel back? Like, that's why private companies are making their own decisions. So he's just like, dude, I mean,
we need to get into the business of decontamination. Like, we
yeah,
need
you
to
saw
sell
that,
right?
Yeah,
like selling.
I've seen
that
people do that. Like people like going into like bars and stuff like that. Like,
to clean everything.
And they're
afterwards.
charging a lot of money. I was
$100,000 a pop in some cases.
And I think I was talking to my grandfather about it, and he was telling me that like, he was talking about lynches, and that like they had to hire this company to come in and decontaminate the whole place and all this stuff. And I was like, I wonder how much that costs. And he was telling me, he's like, it's crazy. It costs so much. I was like, it's not crazy because like they have to do it. It's like, it's the same reason like you can charge a lot of money for healthcare because you have to get it. Like,
think of like the Yankees, baseball, hockey, all these big stadiums. Until they find a cure for coronavirus, like that's the business to be in. Just cleaning those things after every event.
yeah. I mean, unless they hire people and they just buy the supplies. Like it's not like it's not like a contractor type of company.
Yeah, but
does that become like an in-house thing now? Like we just have a sanitization team.
But you have to be certified in order to do this. You have to be certified.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that changes things.
Yeah.
And they probably have to carry their own type of like insurance too, right?
Yep.
Crazy stuff, man. Just like being in the gym today, looking at everybody working out in their masks, it was like crazy, just crazy times.
We live in such we live in a time that's going to be written in textbooks,
right? Isn't that so weird? And not just because of the pandemic, but because of like the whole racial injustice thing and
everything. Like we are living in a transformative time right now, and we're like fairly young enough to like see what's going to happen 40 years from now.
It's so expedited. Everything's being so expedited.
Yeah.
Like this whole like work from home thing. The technologies that like had to be put in place immediately in order for like people to be able to work from home and like advance the way that people communicate, like even like Zoom, Teams, all those things have taken steps to enhance the user experience. And it's like, like, oh, wow, I can just do everything from home now from these apps and these widgets.
Yeah.
And not to sound like I'm trying to take advantage of a bad situation, but like, there has to be opportunity that lies within this, right? Like in terms of like growing businesses and like where you should be investing your money and like
Right.
how things are going to be changing. Because when my brother told me that he's very confident, at least with his company, which is a really big company, that he's like, we're probably never going to go back to work. He's like, we're probably
Yeah.
going to stay. I mean, at least for this year. And he's like, almost can guarantee next year we won't be going back to work.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what's that going to mean? Like what? So some companies or some business or some industry is going to rise out of this as an opportunity. Like how do we take advantage of that is something I've been trying to think about. And I don't know, like in stocks, if you can figure out a way to like invest in the right companies, but like what kind of companies are going to rise out of this? You know, how can you make money off this bad situation?
Well, there's a lot of that's already been priced into specifics in like certain stocks and sectors. Like if you look at like type of like thermo imaging and things like that, like those types of companies who, you know, either manufacture certain like parts or like the technology that goes into that, the price has already been factored in some of those companies. So it's like and you think about like Netflix, for instance, or you think about like Uber, for instance, like all of these, no, like Teladoc is a perfect example. Like Teladoc, as soon as this all started, Teladoc's stock price went through the roof. It was crazy.
What's Teladoc?
Virtual doctors. It's basically like a Zoom, but for like going to like a virtual health clinic instead.
A lot of companies use it as part of a like a benefit that they have for their employees. But now when you think about it, like even for the consumer grade, how can I visit my doctor when I just need a prescription refilled? I don't want to have to go visit the office. I can do that in Teladoc. Or I want to talk to mental health is huge during now. So using that service, that Teladoc service is huge. But
you just go to the doctor. It's basically like going to the doctor's office instead of waiting at a primary care unit. You know, you go and you just talk to them.
The other technology that the stock price went crazy was DocuSign. DocuSign was already big, but DocuSign went even larger because everyone is doing signed documentation and contracts through DocuSign now.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious to see where like education's going to go too.
Yeah.
Like,
talk
about like a hotbed of like germs, you know, like a school. Like there's no way that
counties are all different too. They're not on the same page.
I know, and it's like, are we going to let school start again? And then it's just going to be like all these kids are going to get sick, and because like from what I've heard, it seems like schools are planned to be opened in August.
So
they were supposed to be.
My buddy works in environmental services. He does like mold and mildew consulting. Like he goes in there and after like a big flood or something like that and basically writes the job for what a environmental cleaning service would then come to do, I guess, if that makes sense. And then he comes back and certifies that it's clean, like there's no asbestos or anything like that.
Yeah.
He's investing. So in China, they have these almost they're like giant Roombas that you can put into a building and it will disinfect the building. So it's like a robot.
Really?
Yeah. So he said, I'm going to try and buy a couple of these for like $25,000 a pop and then go in and sell them at market price here in America. But that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Just like new technologies that might arise out of this.
Right. Jung Deb says her cardiologist appointment was Teladoc, but she didn't really feel like they had a good annual exam. They couldn't even listen to the heart.
Right.
Jolie 23,375 says, "Can I cash in teaching English?" Possibly. Yeah. If it's over the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think.
You know what's what's crazy is that I discovered too is have you guys heard of like Udemy?
No.
I've heard of Udemy.
Udemy is basically like this online database of like instructional videos and different things. Yeah. So if you wanted to learn like a specific software, like Final Cut Pro, for instance, there's someone that has created a lesson plan of course videos to teach you Final Cut Pro. And they sell that on Udemy. So you can buy the class for like $11 a pop, and like some of them even come with like a certification. So it's crazy. So anything you want to learn, and people like review the course, so you get like an idea of what is the best course for that like specific subject. Mm-hmm. So like Jolie could create a course in like speaking English or something like that, and then sell it on Udemy.
Oh, all right.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
There's something else. There's another.
It's like Linda. Yeah, it's kind of like
Linda. That's
kind
what it's called. I was trying to think of what it was
Yeah.
called. Linda. It's similar to Linda. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could educate yourself in almost like any career on Linda if you just pay
Yeah.
for it. It's like super cheap. Not super cheap, but cheaper than college.
Well,
It's like writing a book, though. Isn't that cool? Like you're doing your own course.
Yeah, it's awesome.
The problem with that though is I've always aspired to go to another country and teach English and just like live there and like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
now apparently instead of paying a someone like us to go overseas and teach English, now they do it virtually.
Yeah, I'd hope would still always be some sort of like value in being there in person.
Right.
I think maybe like the general like in mass way to do it would probably be virtually, but there is something.
Well, what about when holograms come like big?
Like the hologram of Michael Jackson teaching you how to dance.
Well, if this work from home thing works out, you don't have to go to wherever you want to go, Raj, to teach. You can just live there.
Just think,
do
that's
it
right.
virtually.
I just live there. All right. Well, I think that about does it for this week's episode. Thanks so much, everyone who joined us live here on the Twitch stream, and thanks everyone who subscribed. Be sure to do that. If you have an Amazon Prime account, you can do that for free. Just link your account. Thank you, Benny. Thank you, Mr. C. That concludes this week's episode of the Untitled Florida Man Project. Be sure to follow us on social media. We're at the Florida Men on Twitter, and we're at the Florida Men Pod on Instagram. On behalf of my co-hosts Ben and Mr. C, I'm Roger Roper. Be sure to join us next Tuesday at 8 o'clock for the next Untitled Florida Man Project episode. Ben, good luck fishing off sea, or wherever you're
Offshore.
doing it, offshore. And I will see you boys very soon, very shortly. Peace out.
See
Take
ya.
care. Good night.
Peace.
Peace out, Cub Scout.